can you talk now?
Are you talking to
Apparently
me?
the audio wasn't
Oh,
on. Sorry about that.
okay. Sorry.
No, no, no.
I
It's okay. It was actually my end, but it was just for you. So
okay. Well, I didn't have anything important to say. I mean,
at the beginning, it was just me giving the praise,
hello.
anyways.
Like I think they can handle missing. Hello, how are you today, Jesse? Like,
But yeah, no. One of the things that, like I said, when I was studying, I was like, I would never just pay attention to the authors' names, and you were one of the first ones. In fact, one of the things I wanted
thank
to
you.
talk about was I
Mhm.
loved your writing so much, and I'm sure you get this all the time. Is I was reading things I had no interest in whenever I was looking up your books. Like, I love to attack. I know, and one of the things I've learned about you from reading your books is you're a
Mhm.
strategic positional player. Capablanca is one
Right,
of your favorite players. I believe
right,
you said, and
right. Mhm.
I assume Kramnik is one of the ones also.
I like I mean, I like tall too. It's just I can't play like tall. I wish I could, but
Well,
you play how you can. You play how you can. But I try to make the books interesting because I when I was a kid, I just hated books. Like white is better, black is better. Like come on, you could do better than that. I mean, like I just thought books should be more colorful. And you should be giving the reader images and make the reader laugh a little, or amuse the reader sometimes, or just make them think, make him or her think.
I mean, and that's one of the reasons. Like I said, I've just loved your books. It's just so fun and comfortable to read. I mean, I have literally, and I've never really done this before with a chess book before, but I read it cover to cover. Like I
Oh,
was having such a great time going over the games I'd never seen before.
which
Especially
book
the
is
ones like
this
the
now?
bio, like the Carlsen book. I didn't put
Oh,
that down.
Carlsen. Okay,
I loved it
okay.
so much. I mean, and there's so
Oh.
many of your other books. Like, and one thing I was trying to say earlier, the I don't particularly like to play slow chess, but I literally read like the London system.
Oh
I
my
read
God.
I read things I
You
would
are a
never.
super fan, man. I'm elevating you to the level of super fan, not just fan, but you're a top tier fan. By the way, there was a funny story about the Carlson book. That was my most nightmarish book I've ever written. I mean, by magnitudes. Okay, like what happened was, um, someone else was given the Carlson book. Okay,
Oh,
because the guy needed money. Okay, he was in trouble and needed money. So every man was very nice, and I didn't mind them having that book. I said fine. But then um, I know who this is, but I don't want to say who it
of
is.
course, of
Got
course.
into a massive dispute. Okay, with the publisher. Just you know rancor, anger, and he said, I quit. I'm not writing it. Well, the match was like 8 weeks away, or maybe like it might have been 9 weeks away.
Hmm.
The Caruana Carlson match, or
Hmm.
10 weeks, I think actually was the number. But they said, look, can you write this in 2 months? Like I went, oh my God, you got to be joking. Like Carlson in 2 months. Um, so I said, okay. He said we're in a jam, because the guy bailed out on us. So we need this book before the his first match with Anand. And so I start working on it, and then I feel like I get a flu. Like I have flu symptoms, and severe stomach pain, back pain, and so I'm just miserable. And I'm thinking this flu, it's like it's never ending, never ending. And I had the flu symptoms for like I went to the doctor, not, emergency room,
Oh wow.
urgent care, nothing, nothing, nothing. And I finally finished the book, but I was working like 12 hours a day sick through the entire book. Like for it took me 8 weeks, and I finished just when they wanted me to. But then they found out it was a kidney stone that was stuck and it wasn't coming out. Then they fixed it, but that was after the book,
Oh my gosh.
But so this book was just like I have PTSD from this book, like every time I see the cover, no, it's like the worst 8 weeks of my life,
I would have never guessed that because it was like I said. I mean, I just enjoyed. I mean, I would think writing about Magnus is already so hard because there's so much content, and obviously, he's not done yet, right? Like, there's still I mean,
And he changes too. That's the amazing thing. He's I would write I wrote the How to Beat Magnus Carlsen. I was really afraid of that book, by the way. Like when they suggested that, I went, oh my God. God, like,
find the
because
weakness, huh?
whenever a doofus, well, when a doofus like me, says, well, here's what I think about how to beat Magnus, the reaction would be, who the hell do you think you are? You can't beat Magnus, but you're teaching everyone how to, you know. But of course, the point is not to beat Magnus. The point is like we're looking for how such a great player loses. When I wrote that book, he had gone like almost 2 years without a loss at the highest possible level, like
I remember
100
that
what
record
was it,
that so that must have been whenever he had just beat the record,
125
right?
games, 125 games
Like the
against the
highest
best
level.
players in the world, like world champions. How in God's name can you do that? That's impossible. But he did it. And it's not like he played like Capablanca. I mean, I'll unsoundly sack two pawns here and I'll give away a piece unsoundly. Like, what are you doing? Like,
I'm a
because his
huge
style
Carlsen fan myself.
radically. His style changed radically in the last few years because I think he played Alpha Zero, and his style got a
Oh.
lot more like Tall and Lasker. Okay, like he's probably the greatest psychologist alive right now on the chessboard because you know, he does unsound stuff on purpose because he just knows he can navigate those positions better than anyone. He's in a slump right now, but like I love the way he's in a tiny slump. Oh well, that's it. He's done. It's like these people are all saying, "Well, he's done." No, he's not. Nobody's beaten him in a match yet. When they beat him decisively in a match, okay, but not until then. He's still the king.
Yeah, no, it's funny. It's like every time he loses one game out of like 80, they're like, "Oh, Carlsen lost it," and you're just like,
Right.
"Calm down, okay, guys.
He's
Let's
in a
watch this."
clear slump right now. I mean, he's in a slump. I mean, his rating is trickling down, and he's just not playing as sharply as possible. But every slump, he's not a god. He's the greatest, maybe the greatest player of all time. But he's not. He's still human. You could have a bad night's sleep. You could be have anxiety. Any number of things. Fight with your girlfriend. Boom! I hung a piece to Topolov. It's like
Yeah, no,
so.
he's. I'm really interested to see where it goes with him, just because when I think about a lot of the old world champions, I always think about these guys that held the title for so many years, and then for a
Mhm.
while it became like every 4 years, every 2 years, we're getting like a
Well,
replacement.
this guy plays a lot. He plays every 2 years and the very best. Whoever can
Exactly.
face him, right?
It's
The very
literally an
best.
era of Carlsen, right? And I don't remember them being such like a whole decade of this kind of stuff.
Right, and they give that the rationale, the Ant Carlson guys, the rationale as well. He tied the match with Karyakin
Hmm.
and Karwan. He wanted to tie to get into Rapid. He knew he would beat them both in Rapid, so that was his strategy, and he followed it, and he did it. And it's a short match, a 12-game match. One loss could put you in deeply in the hole. Like he fell behind against Karyakin, but he pulled out that win with just 4 games remaining. He pulled out that critical win to tie.
It's so
But
amazing that he could have that kind of personality, or just that. I mean, I'm obviously he's got the he's just so confident in himself that he can literally go down to the wire and trust himself in these fast games. To me, I trust myself
he's
more when I have more time to think. But apparently, I think that's one
yeah,
of my
he's
downfalls.
the he's the perfect killing machine in chess because I think he has the perfect personality. He seems like a laid back, low stress guy. I mean, he puts a lot of pressure on himself, but I can't ever imagine him panicking at the board. I panic all the time at the board, like, oh my God, I'm dead. Like this problem, I freak out. But this guy stays cool, fire. I mean, you could see it, and he's. It's funny. I didn't think he was the most talented player in the world. Like there were other people. Like
Hmm.
Yakin was higher than became a grandmaster a little bit quicker than he did. Like
Yeah,
earlier than he. And of course, Karyakin is pretty good. Okay, but he's not as good as Carlsen. Carlsen surpassed everyone, and he surpassed all expectations. I think he not be the strongest player. He may not be the greatest player of all time, but he is the strongest player of all time. Like if you had a tournament, if you gave every player um, in past history, like 1 year to study, I still think Carlsen would probably win that tournament.
Oh, that's high
You know,
praise. I'll give you that. And I want to
yeah.
get
I
to
mean,
some of these questions too,
he
if you
could
don't
be dead
mind.
last. I mean, I don't know. He could. It's a complete hypothetical. I mean, Morphy first, Fischer second, Kasparov third. Carlsen Lasker.
Well, the fact
Fourth.
that you choose
Because
him, though, I mean, I think that's already high praise enough. I mean, yeah,
well, I
I
don't
would probably
know.
choose him myself.
It's just that 125 games playing like tall. Okay, playing crazy chess. Like a lot of times he was like there was one tournament. It's in the zone book. I have such a terrible memory. I forgot which one was the Granke. I don't
Mm.
even know I'm pronouncing it right. But in that tournament, Carlsen would just give away a pawn in almost every game for absolutely what I saw was no reason, and then he would win. Like why? Like it. He he has an interesting style. Like when you talk about sound and unsound, I think like two categories. Carlson's sack tend to be in sound and unsound. They're not like completely unsound where they're refutable,
Hmm.
but you got to feel that can't be right. Like I mean, if he was playing Alpha Zero, he'd lose. Perfect defense, but humans don't defend perfectly. And their clocks run down, and they panic and they freak out. He
He's
knows he knows when to just light the board on fire because his intuition is not just like a Capablanca intuition. He's the only player I think in chess history have intuition for both, like Tall's intuition for complications and Capablanca's intuition for strategic and planning and just
and
quiet
he's able to
positions.
shift through these things while in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He'll play like a native poison pawn and beat someone, and next game he'll sacrifice two pawns unsoundly and win, and then the next game he'll grind some guy in a London in 90 moves. Like he just doesn't seem to care which one it is. It's just whatever position is he
Yeah.
plays. He may be the greatest endgame player of all time. That I don't. Maybe Fischer and Blanca could match him, but my God, this guy wins drawn positions against 2,800 players. Like how do you do that? Just
Uh,
flawless players. Like he wins drawn positions. He just never gives up, and he just keeps like he's really dogged, and he just keeps hammering and hammering and waiting and waiting and waiting, and they crack. It's at some any of his opponents crack, and he passes because he's like a machine. He never, when he's not in a slump, he never misses an opportunity. I mean,
that's definitely one thing I took away from his games after studying. At one point, I was getting to the point where I was just like, you know what, this is just drawn position, and as you mentioned, I just see him win these positions that I was like, well, there's no reason he should be playing this, and he wins it. Well, let me get to some of these questions because I know you probably have a very tight schedule. Um, actually, I was going to ask you. I did read up on you, but I was curious. Can you just do a brief little history about yourself? I know I'll be talking about your books and asking you more questions about those. But yeah, if you want to give people just a little quick intro on yourself.
well, I was born in Mumbai in 1960, so I'm an old guy. Okay, so we moved to Montreal when I was 5, and then we left, like right around my 18th birthday for San Diego. And I've been in San Diego since 1978. So I've been
Wow.
here a long time. Yeah. I spent the bulk of my life in San Diego.
And your
Um,
chess career?
well, my chess career I was really crappy. Okay. My I remember at a tournament, my very first tournament, the Canadian Open, I was unrated. Okay. And some guy asked me, "What's your rating?" And I said, "Well, I'm unrated, but I estimate around 2,000." No,
Wow.
1150, 1150. And then I knew my place suddenly. I thought, I just assumed because I saw all these 2,000s, like, no, you're 1150. And then when I was 17 years old, I was like 1795. Okay, not exactly the high candidate to become an IM, right? I mean, but something clicked. I can't even explain it, but like I just wasn't even that good even after, but something clicked, and I was a master by the time I was like maybe 19. Like, but I am not even
Wow.
a master. I think I was like stuck at 2195, 2198, 2197. I remember I just couldn't go over. It was like a psychological barrier for a whole year. I was like, I ran between like 2170 and 2198.
I love
And then,
talking to people that are so hard on themselves like that. Like, I mean, it's funny because you're like, I'm an international master, but I've been a bad player, and it's just like, that's. I mean, what's the percentage of an international master? I mean, that's. I mean, I
well,
remember we were talking about. I'm a national master, which I'm very proud of. I know some people will give me
well, that you're in the
stuff about
you're in the
that.
top one
I
percentile.
know,
That's
and
pretty
you're an
good.
international master, so that's even higher. And it's funny because you're saying you made master late at like 19, and it's just like, man, some people never even get that. And
Well, sure,
it's
but I mean, most people.
I love the way you look at it though, because I myself in the same kind of way. I was very upset I hit master like at 25. I was like, this is ridiculous.
Well, that's great. I mean, that's
Well,
great. But
it's not 19.
anyway, anyway, what happened then? Something happened, okay? Because I told you for a whole year I just couldn't break 200, and then in 1 year I broke 2400. It's like I
Wow.
was never a master. It's just like I zoomed through master and into senior master. And then I got stuck there for a few years, and then I hit 25, and then I got stuck there for a few years, and then I hit almost 26. 2598 was my highest rating in 1994.
2598.
Yeah.
Oh man, that would.
With inflation, that would be about 2650 today.
Wow.
With inflation, I mean, maybe not, but that's what I estimate, because I was beating the majority of GMs in blitz, at least that I played. I got over a 50% score against GMs at the time, so I was definitely weak GM strength, let's say, at my peak. But then comes old age, like, I hit 40 and suddenly I just felt something taken away, and then, it gets worse, like 50, oh my God. And then 60 is like, oh my God, now you know, I retired a couple of years in 2019, but like, who the hell knows? Maybe I'm 1300 now. I don't know. you know?
Oh, I highly doubt that. I mean, your books, you have so much knowledge. I mean, I assume you could just win games on knowledge alone. Obviously, you can do that
That's how I
because.
usually do win games, because I don't have any actual talent. I'm
Oh.
just No, I'm serious. I have a theory that anyone who can reach, let's say, A level
Mhm.
can be an IM. I
Wow.
know they can. I mean, I'm not talking about if you're 80 years old. I'm talking
Hmm.
if you're young and you have resources and time, but mostly massive, massive effort. If
Mm.
you outwork, if you outwork the opposition,
Hmm.
there's no secret. I mean, like the people I passed and I stayed above, it was only because I outworked them. It wasn't because I'm more talented.
Well, I like
I'm
how Kasparov put it.
Pardon
I like how Kasparov put it. Hard work is a talent. Not everybody can do that.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah.
That's one thing. That's a strength, actually. I'm a workaholic. Okay, I work 60 hours a week, and I whine about it, but I know that I like it, secretly like it. Like, I like to always be working.
Hmm.
It's not work. I mean, it doesn't.
It's
I've never
play.
worked a day in my life. No, I mean, I've never worked a day in my life. Well, that's not true. I worked 2 weeks as a clerk in a hotel for a summer job, and then I knocked my boss down and got fired in 2 weeks.
You knocked your
So
boss down?
yeah, he. What happened was, he
This
didn't
is a
like me.
Cyrus I don't know.
He didn't like me, and which is easy to do at that time. Let me tell you.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, we were at a after work party, and he was drunk, and he came up to me, and he told me, I don't like you because you think you're smarter than everyone. And I thought to myself, no, I'm not smarter than everyone. I'm just smarter than you, you know. But but he started poking me like that,
Oh, come on.
which I didn't appreciate. And he was my boss, and I thought about it, and I said, I don't really need this job. And I decked him, and I went down. And then my now wife, then girlfriend, Nancy, like hustled me out. Like when the president of the United States is shot, and the Secret Service, like one, grab each arm and hustle him into the car, and then the car speeds away. It was like that. And then she said, "Don't worry, he was drunk. He won't remember." And I told her, Nancy, don't you think like there were 25 people there? One of them might say, "Hey, who was that guy that hit you and knocked you to the ground?" Like,
Uh, with
he remembered.
I think from a Texas point of view, if someone starts poking you, you're within your rights. Okay,
There you
so
go. There you go. I'm an
yeah,
honorary
I'm on
Texan.
your side on this one. If someone starts
Okay,
poking me, it's not
I
gonna go
deem
well.
myself an honorary Texan then. Yeah, I
I'll
agree. You like I've never I started martial arts, like, studying martial arts, like, long, when I was very young. And I've never, oh shoot, I just remembered I did. I was about to say I've never hit anyone um uh, who didn't touch me first. I consider that first touch, okay, you just opened the floodgates. Now I can fight you. But one time, actually, an opponent accused me of cheating because I was talking to a friend, and he assumed that we were giving each other
mm,
advice. We weren't. We were just talking, you know, during the tournament. And he kept saying it over and over and over, and then, like, I just backhanded him and knocked him to the ground.
wow.
And the amazing thing was, the tournament was in San Diego. I thought, oh crap, here I go. Like, I'm going to be tossed from the tournament. I was very different, by the way, in my 20s than I am now. Okay. Uh,
Yeah, apparently
anyway,
you were working out all the time, so you were pretty buff then, or
well, I, I had fighting skills, and I'm a big guy. I'm 6'2" and always
oh
over about
wow.
20, 25, that range. But, like, yeah, and I work, and even today, I mean, I work out like an hour and a half a day when
That's one
in
thing
the gym. I mean, when the
I
gym is
could
open.
definitely tell with just I mean you've written over 50 books. The
Mm-hmm.
discipline alone to do that is amazing, and it's funny because some of the critics I've heard about you. That's one thing they were like, oh, Cyrus is always writing books. I'm like, it's not like he's like not coming up with material. Like this is hard work. Like I'm
Well,
very impressed with the fact that you can write so many books and the knowledge is so vast.
well,
Um,
that's one criticism. I'm like a hack who just bangs out pot boilers. But what they don't understand is I'm on the autism spectrum, and I'm a jackass at most things. Okay, I can't do most things. Like, I would have no idea how to pay bills. Okay, like, I'm just that you would find trivially ridiculous easy. Anything with computers, like, I'm like a 3-year-old. Like, which button do I press? I'm really weak with many things, but I just have a lopsided brain. Like, I can, I never run out of ideas for my books, and I can write at a much, much faster level than most people. Like, I can synthesize information faster too. And that's why I can write a book in 3, 4 months, and other people can't.
that actually goes on to one of my next questions was, and I don't know if you can talk about it, but any
Mhm.
ideas about some future books? I know I'm very interested, and I will say, if is there any thought about writing? I'm not sure if this is to your demographic, but I work with I run chess programs in San Antonio. I'm in
Mhm.
about 30 schools.
I know that. I know that.
Was there anything about the scholastics you think about writing about? I know there's already so much material, but just any
I
ideas
want
about
to get
books and
into
also scholastics?
I'm writing a book right now. We don't have a publisher, though. Like, with a UC San Diego geometry professor. He's a geometer, and I taught his daughter, and he's maybe an A player,
Okay.
1850 or something.
Mm-hmm.
But we want to do a book on math and chess,
Interesting.
where, a scholastic book for math. One thing I'm kind of sick of is these, the chess world, there's low sales, okay? Especially if you write up, okay, for the, higher
Yes.
rated players.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you sell 1,300 book is a big seller. I mean,
Really?
I've had books that hit 8,000 or close to 8,000.
Wow.
That's not normal. Be after years, if you hit 3,000, that's about normal. Okay, after a few years of
Mm-hmm.
building up and selling and selling, they usually hit around 3,000. And that's a big seller too. That's like a for a chess book, because I know that a lot of writers, I think they sell like 1,500
Especially these
copies.
days, and I'm sure you know about people
Sure,
that
with
are
the
downloading the
download.
books and all that other stuff. I mean,
Well,
I love the
this,
books. I love my library I have in the back, and I of course I've got mostly all your books already. So
well, this is I like I know from the number of messenger messages that I get a day, I get maybe 10 messages a day from people, okay, about my books, okay.
wow.
So I'm estimating that like 1 million people have read my books, but only a few thousand have bought them. Right? I mean, like, the number of people who have actually read my books is enormous, but the people who have my books is very, very finite. Okay, because it's so tempting. And also, like, if okay, let's say I live in you know Mexico, Philippines, India, any country like that. Like, I mean, India, like my home country. Well, my last book, the what was it, the rewalk, like, okay, that
Oh
thing is
yes,
like
yes.
30 something dollars. Okay, do you know how much $30 is in India? That's it would be like you paying $2 here.
Wow.
It's the money goes further in those places, so they can't afford many. I mean, the people who buy them are like doctors, and people with a lot of money. But if you just make like an average income in India or Philippines or wherever, you're not going to be able to afford these. So, by the way, the most question is, please send me. No, I won't. You know, I not want to hear from so and so click, like so.
Um, man, that's one thing that stuck out to me. I know I'm not sure how I we contacted each other. I think that I met you through Mitch Vergara through the Facebook,
Oh, you did.
and you
You
just talked to
contacted
me.
me, I remember.
Oh yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm sorry about that. But I remember you actually wrote back and was so nice, and you chatted with me, and I was just like, wow, I didn't
Well,
expect that. I've had some bad run-ins with high level players before that didn't have much time on their hands, let's say. So it was a very nice
don't
and
have any right. Chess players don't have any right to be arrogant. I mean, if professional chess player, um, you look at the street mime in the park and you go, "Wow, I wish I could make as much money as that street mime." Okay, it's to be a professional chess player. Like, it's a very hard thing to. It's an it's a really stupid decision at the top of the world. Okay, like, I mean, I was offered my parents' company. Like, at
wow,
starting at, like, $100,000 in the '80s.
wow,
There's a lot of money, right? And in my 20s, right? My brother took over the business and just became very wealthy. Okay, but I knew I couldn't do it. I just knew I couldn't do it because I wanted to put into my head after my parents said, why don't you work for us for a few months, see if you like it, and we'll train you to take over when we retire. And like, I would look at the clock. I would go, oh my God, 6 hours have passed at the clock. I look over, minutes have passed. I go, oh no, I'm in hell. Like, time is slowed when you're like, the days were so long, and like, I would daydream about, I'm joking about this, of course, but I'll go to Home Depot and purchase a noose tonight. I cannot function in a non-creative job, and I hate the BS of selling. I can't stand selling anything. Like I never try to sell my books. That's up to the publisher to
Hmm.
promote them, but like, I mean, I can be a little bit of a whore sometimes, trying, or not a whore, but a pimp. I'm more like a pimp when I pimp my books, but I can pimp my books sometimes, but usually I don't.
Huh. Here's a good one. Is there a rating range that you like to write for? You've kind of mentioned this already, which I totally agree with. The
Yeah.
higher level that you write for, it's a smaller
Mhm.
audience. So, is there a rating
Yeah.
that you're trying to write to? Because,
Um,
yeah, I assume
I'm
sales are
trying,
important.
I'm trying to lower it. I'm actually trying to lower it because it would increase book sales.
Hmm.
Like I write for basically about 1800 to master. Okay, like this is the way I look at it. Okay, I'll write the book. Like I'll quote games and just put heavy analysis if it's an opening book. And the master will want to read that, but the 1800 doesn't have to read that. You don't have to go, oh, this is this game played in 1999. This game was this, but it becomes a jungle. Then they could just play over the main moves and be just listen to the explanations. That's it. You don't need to go over all the analysis. Like it's completely optional, the analysis. My theory is I think 10% of the readers actually go through the analysis, honestly.
That's such a
I
good
don't
point.
think it's even necessary.
That's such a good
Like,
point, and one of the reasons why I did love your book so much is that you would go over some analysis whenever it was important to me. But
mhm.
as you're mentioning, some of the old books I'd read, there's so much analysis, and even with
Yeah,
my
it
like kind
becomes
of
a
OCD
jungle.
or perfection, I kind of want to go over it, but then I go over it and I was like, why am I going over this? This is already a one position, or this is not even
Yeah,
interesting. And
well,
I like the way that
it's a
that
Hubner
you do it.
syndrome.
Hmm?
It's the Hubner syndrome. Have you Robert Hubner? When I was a kid in the 1970s, like I'd get these informants. Okay, like that was the only thing I could get for latest games. Latest meant a year ago, by the way. Anyway, you'd look at other people's annotation, then there'd be like a Hubner annotated game, and he would take just ridiculous analysis. Like, I mean, like I couldn't go through it if I tried. I mean, because it's like a jungle, parentheses within parentheses, and it's like, good God, man, you need a PhD in
Have
linguistics and maybe physics and mathematics to get through one game of yours. So
have you
I
seen
try not to
Gary
do that.
Kasparov's My Great Predecessors?
Yeah, I thought that was too
Oh,
dense.
yeah.
Yeah, it's too
And that
dense.
was I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. At that point, which as most people are doing now, was that just a lot of computer analysis, or was that his work?
No, it's computer analysis, and
That's what I felt
I
like.
mean, I I don't think he wrote that book completely. I think he wrote the prose. I
Hmm.
think the analysis was done by ghostwriters. In fact, I know it was. I've
Oh,
been told, but I can't tell you who the.
oh,
He's on Facebook. The guy that wrote the guy that did the analysis. He's a GM. He's one of my Facebook friends.
oh,
But
awesome.
anyway, but I'm sworn to secrecy on that. But
Of course.
I just analysis is so over in a chess book. I'll get critics telling me. I went through this book and I put it through, Fat Bits from Fish 13, and I found all sorts of errors. Hey, that book 13 years ago or 12 years ago, my computer was like 600 points weaker than yours. Okay, so it's the analysis constantly is refuted
Hmm.
as the engines get stronger and the new engine finds new subtleties and new moves that are better. So it's like when you go over Capablanca's analysis or Botvinnik's, pre even Fisher, I mean the computer will find all errors, and it's not like they were weak. Okay, it's just
Hmm.
humans. Humans are just we see like a fraction of what's actually there. We just you can't calculate, you know in Alpha Zero probably in 1 second can calculate more than we can in our life, right? I mean, I don't know what these Cray computers that calculate half billion moves a second,
Hmm.
you know, that's what we can do in our lifetime. And humans don't play by number crunching. So anyway,
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
analysis is just, it's fleeting and it's impermanent. It's only the explanations and prose that's important in a book.
I was gonna say one of the things, one of the openings that I read again, one I would not would have read, and I would not have respected if you hadn't suggested it or written the book on it,
Mhm.
was the Scandinavian.
Uh-huh.
I loved that book so much. In fact, I now play the Scandinavian, and I was gonna say, going along those analysis and ways that it's getting refuted, the way that you teach your books, is it more kind of structured toward themes, as far as like kind of put your pieces here and then like
Yeah, I mean, people don't remember analysis; they remember concepts,
that's
and they
exactly
remember
right.
verbal explanation.
I love that about the books because again, I kind of put my pieces in the right areas, or some of them are move specific where you do have to make sure you do it correctly. But I think the way that you approach it, I think was just perfect, and it's helped
Well,
out my game
thank
so
you.
much.
Even my critics say, the ones that don't like my writing style, none of them say I'm a bad explainer. They all think I'm very good at explaining concepts. Okay, all of them say that, but they don't like the actual writing style. That's the problem. I
That's
mean,
the
with
best
some critics.
part. Oh my gosh, how would I learn about these words that I always have to? I have like my phone next to me because I need to look up a word that you just used because I don't under.
Oh, really? I don't like to do. I don't want the reader to look up a word, but
I
I
love
don't
words
know what
though.
people know. I don't know what people know and what people don't know. I've been a fanatical reader my whole life. I read like hours a day
Oh,
since
you
I
could
was a
tell.
kid.
You could
So,
tell.
so I have a large vocabulary, but I don't know that people know this word but don't know this one. I just
Oh,
write. Okay.
it's beautiful for someone like me because I was always an avid reader. These days, all I read is chess books. So
Mhm.
my, as far as like my vocabulary has not gone up in a while. But then I'm reading your books and I'm like, oh great, this is a great word. And there was one word I remember reading that it was so specific to what you were talking about. That was the only way you could use. I can't even think of the word. I just remember
Oh,
looking
you
it up
don't remember the word.
and I was just like, wow, this is I it's an enjoyment for me because I love learning still.
But some critics say that I'm showing off. I'm not actually. I'm not. This is the way I write. Okay, like I'm not showing off, and you know, they either like it or don't. I'm not here to please the critics. I don't even read my reviews. I don't read them.
Hmm.
I mean, I find out about them. Like this guy said your book was good. This guy bashed you. I like it doesn't matter because it doesn't really affect the it might it does prejudice new people
Mm-hmm.
because I've noticed new people that bash me, like if I'm on chessbook collectors and someone says, "Oh, that wall is a hack," I'm on the Facebook group chessbook collectors, and someone posts one of my books. Someone will say he's a hack or something like that, and they use exact words that were in the review. I could tell they read the review and they're parroting the
Oh
review.
wow.
So it does prejudice new people. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not gonna affect someone like you, okay? Like a fan stays a fan, but if you don't know my books, you're planting the seed that this guy is a really crappy writer.
Well, I just want to let
Okay,
you know real
so,
quick, because I am a fan, I plant the seed to other people how good of a writer you are, and I
oh
recommend
sweet,
your books to a lot of my students because this was actually one of my questions. The Everman Move by Move series, was that your idea as far as explaining each move, which I think is
no,
great, or
no.
it was just something that they asked you to do and you were just that's
They, I was like first. I think I was the first move by move book. I think it was GM John Ems,
mm,
who came up with the idea of the
it's
question and answer.
I love it.
And some people like it, some people don't. I've actually moved away from it because I
Mm.
I overwrite I go over my page allotment so much. I do not need questions to add more pages, but like I don't know what's going on, but all my books are now 450 plus. Like the Rewire
Mm.
book was over 500 pages. I mean, and you can only get away with that if you're like a big seller. You cannot get away with that. If you're a new writer, they'll tell you to trim that book back 200 pages. They don't want to have a book of 500 pages because they have to up the price of the book.
Oh, okay, okay.
Every book costs them like maybe an extra dollar. So they have to up the price on the books when you know you go so heavy with pages. But just lately, I've never I've never worried about size. I kind of just I do what I think covers the book, and then I stop, and wherever it is, it is. That's they've never been able to keep my neither publisher has ever been able to keep me behaved on the page size. Like I drive them nuts because every book I send them is like about 100 pages more than I'm supposed to do.
Man, that's so impressive. I mean, that's actually one of the things I was going to ask about. Where do you come up with all these fun stories to explain, the metaphors and the? I mean, again, I that's one thing I really enjoy about your books. And one of my friends, one of my best friends, Aaron Reyes, I'll go give a shout out to him. I gave him the book and I said, "Do you want to read it?" And he didn't. That was one thing he just did not like. That I was like, it gives us so much color to the position, and it really helps
Well,
me
it's
understand it.
just some people.
But
Some
yeah, he
people
just did
like
not
it.
like
Some
it.
people don't. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just I don't. I don't worry about that. If you like it, read it. If you don't like it, don't read it. That's my philosophy. Look, my books sell. I have a big audience. Okay, compared to other writers, I have a pretty big audience. Okay, so I'm not going to listen to the critic who tells me you need to change your writing style. Why? It's successful. I'm not changing it because your mind is rigid and you can't handle something new.
Oh,
I mean,
definitely.
I don't. But I'm not saying that these people are even, you know, they're humorless, whatever. Senses of humor. People. There, there's a certain type of player. Chess is my religion player,
Mm.
and they like huge chess book because they don't want the pastor to, do a comedy routine. You know, like religion is serious business, and their religion is chess. So they consider themselves scholars, and when the humor comes in, they lose their scholar status.
I would say you,
And
you
I
just
think
described my friend perfectly right there. I mean, this guy loves to read the old Russian chess books. He learned Russian just so he can read some of the chess books. So I think you described him perfectly there. I guess I'm more laid back and I love just to learn in general. And again, so where do you get these examples from the books? They're so creative and so fun.
well, um, from the autism, I have a very as you guess than most people. I think in metaphors. Like whatever I look at
Oh,
reminds me of something else. Like
interesting.
I just get like images in my mind. Whatever I look at, I think of something else that resolves. And the other thing I do is deliberately daydream. I told you I work out a lot. Okay, like I'll get on the treadmill for an hour. I'll get a walk for an hour. Just go to the gym, in the pool, whatever, for an hour, and I daydream. And what I do is my routine is I get up really early, like at about 4 to 4:30 a.m. and I
Wow.
meditate till about, and then I write from normally it would be, without the pandemic, I leave at about 9:45 and I gym and I return at about like 11:45. And so during time, I just let my mind drift, and I know the skeleton of the game I'm working on that morning. Okay, like if I'm working on a game or an introduction or whatever, but I have the skeleton written out in the morning, but the creative part comes from daydreaming. And then when I get home, I write down all the ideas. I just come home and I write the ideas.
Man.
and then I just insert them into the book. Because I don't think creativity can't be forced. It has to be dreamed. Okay, and you need to be in kind of like I I don't want to describe it. Just sort of a daydreaming state, right? Like where you're just daydreaming. You're doing something that's somewhat boring. Like even Einstein did that. He couldn't solve one problem, so I think he got a job as a dishwasher. Okay, he deliberately got a job as a really boring job because it was so boring. Started to daydream, and that's when he came up to what problem he was working. It really does work. If you get a treadmill, if you take a walk, if you are in the pool, um, and you just daydream. And if I've got that morning's game in my head, that's what I'm going to be thinking of. And like, oh, at that point I can say this, and at that point I can say this. So that's how I come up with it.
I love it, and man, I've it's funny. The story that you mentioned, I know it because I watched gosh, with Sheldon. I forget what it's called. Big Bang Theory. They actually talk about that
Oh,
how he did it. But it's so
I've
fun.
been watching that show for a long, long time,
Yeah, I was
like a
against it
decade.
at first. I thought they were making fun of us, and then I was like, it actually turned out to be a really good show. So, but
Uh,
it's so interesting because I've heard of the concept of meditating. I've never heard the idea of daydreaming on purpose. As far as problem solving, that is
yes, I
such an
mean
interesting idea to me.
if you are working on any creative endeavor, or just have a not even creative, you could be a mathematician or a physicist, or you have some crushing problem, you need to find an unorthodox solution to it. uh, I it's very unlikely you will uh, come up with it in a conscious state. It has to be a semi-conscious state. See, when I can't write like that, my writing is boring when I write at the computer. It's only the I come home and I take notes. Plus, I'm a fanatical note taker. I observe life. If I have a conversation with someone, I extract something from it and take a note. I'm on yellow pad 100 now. I filled up 100, almost 100 yellow pads since I started writing chess books, and each pad is about 800 notes. Like the full pad is about approximately
Wow.
800 like ideas or notes, or and I use them. I use them as reference for my games. Like whatever pad I'm working on, then I see that this would fit into this game, and this would fit into this game. Like the ideas are separate sometimes from the game.
When I was reading your books, I could kind of tell that you had oh gosh, I always mispronounce this. It's not antidote, it's antidote.
Anecdote.
Yes, sir. And so I could kind of tell with some of them ones because they're just so colorful. It's almost like you
Uh-huh.
insert them in there. But I feel like you came up with it at a different time. Although some of them seem very genuine.
Sometimes, like I say, like
Yeah.
the daydream ones are not are deliberate for that
Uh
place.
huh.
The observation ones are just hey, this might fit.
Mm-hmm.
I was interviewed yesterday by AJ Jacobs. Um he's a big writer. He's got like 4 books on the New York Times bestseller list. I mean,
Wow.
he's a major writer. He's a humor writer. He's doing a book on puzzles, so I'm going to be like the chess part of his book. But he does exactly what I do. I mean, he writes down observations, and sometimes, like just things will come to him, and he writes them down, and then later that will fit in this spot in the book. Just because it's very hard to write at the, seated at the keyboard. It's very hard to write creatively there. I mean, sometimes, yeah, but I would say that only about 10% of the creativity is at the keyboard, and 90% is the observation or daydream. That's those two aspects.
Well, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm taking it all in. I really enjoy this. Actually, that goes into a good segue. Your new book, Tactical Trainer. I'm sorry, tactical training.
Yeah.
That's coming out. Was it April 1st?
Yeah, it's already out in Europe,
Oh,
but
okay.
yeah, April 1st. Yeah, I mean, people are posting pictures of it, but they're always from Europe. Like
Oh, okay.
you can get the book if you're in England or wherever in Europe.
I have to ask, April Fools, was that done on purpose?
No, I don't think so. No, I mean, I have nothing to do with the date set. I doubt it.
Okay. Just a fun way, I guess, to do it. So tell me, I'm in your group on Facebook with the I love how much you post every day about a different end game
But
position. It's just it's like every day. And I remember whenever you just started it, it was like maybe a few thousand. I looked the other day, it was like 25,000 people. You've built this great
it's
community.
growing. Yeah,
And
it's growing fast. That is the best way to prove. Okay, I've discovered this only 2 years ago. Okay, I discovered that if you do mate problems, especially mates in two, okay, because they're doable for anyone. They're
mm,
really hard. Okay, they're really hard, but they get easier as you do them. But endgame studies, and I say this over and over and over, but people don't seem to grasp this. You don't need to solve them. In fact, one of the headlines I have in the intro is you don't solve them. Okay, just there's a process. Okay, some of my students just exploding uh, since since I put them on endgames and mating problems. I've got one student. I I took him on 4 months ago, and he was 1510. Okay, and I started him on mating problems and endgame stuff. 4 months later, he won the Gambito, the local. I mean, over the masters and the experts, but his rating is now
wow.
is the first one he's ever won. But his rating approaching 2,000. He's gained almost 100 in 4 months, and it has to be from that because I've had several students who had, and that's typical. Like as they say in the ads, like I lost 90 pounds on this diet, and then you see in a little tiny print, it's not till I mean, most people don't have dramatic jumps like that, but the most dramatic jump, this this student is my poster. I talk about him all the time. His name is Jonathan. Okay, age 55. For
Wow.
20 years, 20 years, his rating cycled from 1280 to 1360. Never went below 1280. Went over 1360. Just cycled for 20 years. And he's 50. Don't expect improvement at 55. Um,
Yes.
I put him on mates in two and endgame studies, and his rating in just a few months, like about 6 months of doing it, was just border 1600. And he would have broken it if not for the pandemic. The
Mm.
pandemic stopped everything, and so he's frozen at about 1576 or something like that. But um, if it weren't for the pandemic, I think he would have broken 1600 when he gets back, when the pandemic sort of eases up and chess returns. Uh, but this is the secret. I mean, it's the secret better is just not like puzzles. Okay, they're not like a conventional solve this combination for this game. There's something in them that's steroidal. Okay, like there's they have a steroidal power where your muscles, your brain muscles just um, expand. They have ideas you've never seen before in your life. Okay, the concepts are just shocking. Like I've been doing it only 2 years. Okay, and every day I look at something and I go, wow, I've never seen that pattern before. Like, okay, I've been playing chess for like how long? Like 53 years. Um, okay, I've been playing chess a long time. All right. Um, how can you? How can a guy who's been playing for over half a century, how can you show him something where you go, holy crap, I've never seen that before? It's and you keep adding these geometric imprints, and your mind just keeps like loading up on them and loading up on them. And as I said, what scares people off, the reason people don't like to do these is they're ridiculously hard. Okay, they're impossible. Some of them. I don't. I honestly, I don't even think some of them are meant to be solved. Like I, I just went over like in the Rewire book. There's a Zinnar. He's the greatest. He just died recently. Mikhail Zinnar. I think he's the greatest king and pawn ending composer of all time. Maybe Gregorian. You can say is equal or better, but my favorite is Zinnar. He just passed away like a few months ago. Um, he had this king and pawn ending. I put it in the Rewire Your Brain, Chess Brain book. Um, I think the solution is 32 moves, and if you go one wrong move in that 32, it doesn't work. It's 32 forced moves in a row,
Wow.
and it's all full of anomaly and like, oh, I retreat my king here in the king and pawn ending. What? That's the only way to win. Just crazy, unlikely moves. Just one after another, one after another. I don't know how he created it. It's just unbelievable to me. But an ending like that cannot be solved. I don't, Carlsen, anyone in the can solve that ending. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm underestimating them. I don't think anyone in the world can solve that ending. They'll make mistakes. Without a computer, you can't solve it. Without an engine, it's not meant to be solved. It's meant to be observed, and you soak in the patterns. By the way, speaking of it, that's another thing. I'm writing a right now on tactical endgame training, and
Mm.
I think the king and pawn endings are incredibly valuable to study. Not and but king and pawn, not so much just basic. I'm not talking about basic king. I'm talking about endgame compositions, like endgame studies,
Mm.
king and pawn, because nothing helps your calculation better than that. Um, I don't do it because I think I'm going to get that position in a game. You'll never get that position. And how often do you get king and pawn endings in your games, right? One every 100 games or something. So you think, well, that's a waste of time. It's not, because the king and pawn end, um, there's no beats in king and pawn. You're playing a middle game and you're attacking. You well, I could do this or this. This looks good. Maybe work, maybe it won't. That's the way we think we're attacking. King and pawn endings, it's true or false. Okay. There's
Yes.
one answer on every move. I mean, there's rarely like two moves that win. Then it would be considered a cook. There's two answers. But the best studies are where there's only one path to victory. And with king and pawn endings, you have the least for BS. It's all math. It's just all calculation. And sometimes what I'll do is, I know the answer to the ending, and I have the student like calculate without moving the pieces as
Yes.
far as they can go. And if the answer is 20 moves deep, it's even with so little material on the board for an 1800, that's very difficult, or
Yeah.
even a 2000, it could be hard. Because remember, king and pawn endings can, oh, now I make a knight and I make a queen, things change.
I think that
But I
would be
think they're,
difficult
they're
for me.
phenomenal tools.
It's so impressive. I mean, wow. This is. I'm gonna try using this in my lessons. I didn't realize how big of an effect it would have for studying
It hits
these.
every aspect of your chess. The end game studies, like I say, are, and mates in two. It's like a nuclear explosion in your mind, because you're just getting patterns you have not seen before, because no game in the history of chess, has a combination that deep, because some of these guys, especially now, they use engines, right? And the answer is, 25, 30 moves long, or you can't solve it. It's impossible. But even the older ones, are just genius, like Kasparian studies are just unbelievable. Wotawa, he's my favorite. Alois Wotawa, he's my favorite endgame study composer. I mean, I just cannot believe, how did you come up with that? You mentioned, you do you want to see a Watawa that I just found? You want to do share screen and I'll show?
Yes, sir. I would love that. Yeah, I was curious if you have anything you want to show to us today.
Let's
Yeah,
do it.
I can definitely
Okay,
do
I
that.
hit the share screen and it'll share. If I hit this, it'll share.
Go ahead and push the share screen, and then we'll see what it looks like. And
Oh no, it says host.
oh
It
yeah,
says host. You
no
need to give
problem.
me permission.
Let me go and turn that on for you. There you go.
Okay, thank you. And now, okay, so share, and let's go into chess base. Let's find Wotawa. It'll probably be on it because I was just doing a lesson with it. Right here. Okay, I think it's the last one. Okay, this is a white to play and win. I did this with my student Jonathan that we talked about.
Ooh,
Now,
let me
okay,
fix
we
this
got a
real
problem. Okay,
quick.
this guy is queening. Okay, this guy's
Oh,
queening right here. Oh,
Cyrus,
oh,
let me
no,
fix the screen real quick. It's not showing up full. Okay.
oh, it's not. Okay, it doesn't matter if it doesn't show up. We can skip it then.
Oh
It
no, it's
doesn't matter.
okay. If you just give me 1 second, I'm just gonna
Sure.
rearrange it.
Okay.
Um, you could try switching it to the other scene, the game analysis scene. To the game analysis scene. Oh yes, that's a great idea. Let me click on this button, and then what do I do? Like Chrome. Right click that. Okay. Right click it. And then properties. Yeah. Select the Streamlabs. Oh, that's right. Zoom doesn't. Oh, you know what? Here, you can just
Can't do it.
back
It's
to the interview.
problem with it.
Click on the interview button. Let me see here. Sorry, I'm not gonna lie.
Doesn't
I'm.
matter. We don't have to do it. Not a problem.
Like
Just
press Alt and crop it to the board if you want.
Let me see. Actually, do you mind helping me out?
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah. 1 second, please. He's gonna help me out real quick.
sure. Okay.
Let's see here, or we can do this. We can just.
And then I can just click on interview again.
Oh, it won't show them. Yeah, you can show that. It just won't show your faces.
Do I hit the share screen now, or
It is. We are now sharing the screen. Sorry.
Oh, sweet deal, sweet deal. Okay.
This is why you get people to help you, because again, like you, I am inept when it comes to technology.
You've proven my point. My theory is that technology just stresses us out. We're way better off as cavemen and cave women, you know. Except when you have a medical emergency, then you like being in this era.
This is true. I do enjoy all the
Okay.
all the benefits.
So this is a white to play and win, and I saw that this actually is a draw because after queen, king takes here, back. Now you can't make this boneheaded move because then this is mate. Okay, so but if after take check, if you just go here, black has to take perpetual check here because if you play for a win, okay, and do this, it's a double question mark between queen and, you know, like take and queen. It's going to be lost here. Like I guess we could keep playing until we hit b6, like here, here, here. Oh damn! I didn't do that right. Okay, hang on.
Could you go queen c8,
Okay,
queen a6,
here we
pawn
go.
c7?
Here we go. There we go. We did it here.
Yeah, there we go.
And then this wins. Okay. Okay. So black cannot win after f takes e7. So we have a draw, but unfortunately, it's a white to play and win problem. And we actually solved this one quite quickly because I realized you cannot allow black to queen and you take on b6. If your king takes on b6, black will always have perpetual check. That means we must have access to b7 with our king. And that gives away the first move, which is check here. Okay. Now this is instant because here, and we're queening with check. And after queen here, like you queen and it's mate, right? So there's no choice but to take the c7 pawn. Okay. And now we queen again.
Wow.
Okay. And now we go f7. Now black has a choice. You could play queen, you could play king c7. On king c7, I think we go check here. Queen here. This is lost. Like I put it on the engine. Like let's see what the engine says here. This is quite lost here. Yeah, it's up. It has black down by 4.5 points here after king takes here. You know, you could, the thing is you take here and they can't take b2 because of the discovered check on b7. And so essentially white's going to win this pawn too, and then play b3 and be up 2 pawns and win. So that means king c7 is out, and it means that we have to queen here. Okay. But now we have our little hidey hole here on b7. Okay, now there's different moves here. But if, for instance, if you put pawn takes pawn, we queen, okay, and then king up and check here, and this is mate.
Beautiful.
Because this, well, I guess that pawn didn't have anything to do with it. Basically, the e5 run square and d5 run squares are cut off. So pawn takes pawn doesn't work. So after king b7, this is really the only move, okay? And now we play exclam, okay? Now if you take here, then comes check here, check here, and mate. Same theme. So black's only move now in this position is queen f4. Okay, stopping c7 check. But see, now you have the interference shot.
E5.
You can't be everywhere at once with the queen, right?
Oh, it's so beautiful.
If you take here, we could show off and make a rook and mate.
Why not? Why not?
And if you of course take here, then it's the same one. You know, like the here, and mate.
That was a beautiful interference move.
So, okay, now let's go to the beginning position. You know, like that's a lot there from this position. You know, and I think that's a pretty easy Wotawa, by the way. That's a relatively easy Wotawa. Normally they're murder. You know, they're just murderous. But he has this sense of flow in his problems that's just astounding. Like everything is just exactly where it needs to be. You know, just exactly where it needs to be. Do you want to see anything else, or should I?
You're more than welcome to share as much as you'd like. I'm happy.
What time we have?
What
do you?
My next lesson is not till 3 p.m. So it's literally as much as you'd like to do. As far as I know, I'm getting a free lesson. Okay, so.
Let's go look for another one. There's some Wotawas up here. Here we go. Oh, this is a Cook study. Okay, we don't want that. Okay, here. This one is interesting. Okay, this is a white to play and win, and I thought, well, this is an easy one. We just play rook f1 and we win because g3 is cut off, right? Like black's pawns are now frozen. But amazingly, black wins in this position just by playing king here. Okay, like king here, king here, king here. And then we just play king d5. And see, white is completely lost now. The pawns overwhelm the rook.
Yeah.
See? So I thought, okay, it's not so simple. One of the wonderful things about doing endgame studies, and especially endgame studies and composed mating problems, is you lose your superficiality, that dumb, this is easy thing. I still fall for it. I did a this is easy with rook f1. Okay, it's not the answer. Okay, I quickly discovered it's not the answer. So what you have to do here, if it's white to play and win, and it's not rook f1, that means we're going to let the pawns just go. But
Wow.
we have, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 moves, and that's only to queen. If we have a mate, we have maybe 5 moves, okay, to find a mating net. Now, where's a mating net? Okay, like we could try this, okay, and then here threatening rook a8 mate, but stupid. You know, he'll go here, and all we have is perpetual check. Just, you know, here, 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 perpetual check. So again, superficial, king c7. Then I'm actually wondering why these guys are on the board. Like, why do you need these guys on the board? And I'm starting to think these two may have played some kind of role in the mating attack. And I'm trying to envision mates, okay? One mate, of course, was that shallow one, was with king here and rook a8 mate. Okay, I know it's not going to be that. Another mate I saw was if I can get a pawn here, rook b6 is mate. I can get a pawn, somehow slip a pawn to c5, rook b6 is mate. And the last mate would be like here, but of course you can't get to c6, but somehow we take this mate or force the pawn up, and then anywhere on this, like here, 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 here would be mate. Okay. And so the study starts out with this double exclam, okay?
C3.
Because after f2 or g3 doesn't matter. You play d3 exclam now. There's different things black can do now. Look, what do you want to do? You want to take it? You want to play d5? See, on d5, I think we just play here, I believe, right? Threatening mate.
Wow.
And when you play here, then check up mate.
That's beautiful.
And so you can ignore it and let white take, or you can take yourself. If you take yourself, then c4, okay, and then here, and then c5. We're threatening rook b6, right? You have to take it, no choice. But now unstoppable mate, because you no longer have this, because this flight square is cut off. The black pawn clogs, and whatever you play, mate, or c4 rook or mate. So then the last idea, okay, is okay, we've looked at d5, right? And that one just loses to rook h1.
Yes.
So the last idea is just let him take it. Go here, okay? Go g3 and we queen, okay? So pawn takes pawn, and then g2.
Wow.
And now again here, threatening rook b6 mate. And then take. And now, before we had a option to play rook h1, we don't. But see, now we have d1, and there's no stopping rook d6 mate. See, and that's the solution.
Gosh, that's so, everything just works so perfectly.
Yeah, it's like everything fits. Every Watala problem is like a Capablanca game, you know, where every piece is on the right square at the right time, just like magic. Just like this pawn magically is there. Like, and the other one, magically the rook has h1 to mate here, and this one magically we have d1 to mate here. And magically when the pawn is on c5, you don't have time to do other stuff because of rook b6, you know, just every Watala problem is like that. You know, it's like virtually every one is that amazing. You want to see one more, or that's it?
I'll do one more. That'd be perfect.
Okay. So here's this one is in the tactical training book, I believe. Okay. It's white to play and win. Again, we can't stop these guys. Okay, they're too fast. So we've got to find a mating net. I found the mating net idea very quickly. I'm really good at finding the ideas, but I'm horrible at implementation because that's where the math comes in, right? But I'm very good at seeing the idea, and I saw right away that if we allow king takes c5, you'll never have a mate, not a chance. Okay, The only way to box in the first move is very easy. The only way to box in the king is here. He's got to take it, the queen, right?
Okay.
Okay. So now I'm envisioning this mate, okay? We play like, let me make bad moves for black. Okay, we play here and then here, okay, and then check, and then here, and then here. Or no, I'm sorry. Well, okay, let's just, since we're playing bad moves, we don't even have to play b3. We'll go here, take, and b4 mate. Okay, that's the mate I envisioned. Okay, that's the one we get too. I knew that would be the final mate.
Wow.
Okay, but it's a nightmare to actually get that. Like you have to really, really work to get that. Okay, so it starts with here. Okay, because what we need to do to get the king here is to play b3 check without allowing king c3. So black plays here, and this was the hardest move of the whole problem, because the next move is check and then back to d1. Okay.
Wow. Yeah. Backwards moves are always tough.
Yeah. Well, like I wasted 2 moves, right, with rook d3, but we didn't, because we cornered the king in here. And so after here, then we set up with e3, and then here.
A3.
Now again, this does not work, because we queen, and on a3 you have you have this would wreck it. Queen takes e3 would wreck it, and so would queen a8 would wreck it. A1, sorry, would wreck it. So that means that here a3 is first. Threat is pawn takes pawn mate. Okay. We can't play b4 mate because the king has c4. So when we lift the rook, we control c4, and then on queen mate. See, perfect. Everything perfect again. Right when the guy queen, you mate the guy. So, but he's my favorite. Watawa is my favorite. Let me show you. I've downloaded every one of his problems. Okay, every one of his studies.
Oh man, how many does he have?
He has more than these. I've dumped the ones where I found cooks. Hang on one sec.
Okay.
Like, how many does he have here? 389, but probably it's over 400, because I've booted out the like, remember, this guy's composing in 1937, 36, 35. No computers, right? So
That's
there's
amazing.
some problems have mistakes, like where it doesn't work, or there's 2-3 solutions. I've kicked out those, but see, I'm annotating all of them. See, slowly, like I'm, they're all these are his last one. Let me turn off the thing, so but I'm annotating them. You see.
Oh wow.
This one is incredible. This one is in the tactical training book, I believe. How do you lift this? Oh, okay, like this. Yeah, this is white to play and win. Again, these guys can't be stopped. You see, you got to find a mating net, or I knew it would be based on some trick with here and bishop f2 check and then take the queen like that, but I couldn't quite figure it out. So first we check here. Now, the king can't not take the pawn. Okay, like you can't wander away, of course, because we'll queen and win. And if you decline, then we just go here, check here. By the way, if you take here, here's another magic mate, right?
That's so pretty.
Okay, so king a8, and then we play check here, and then we go here, and bishop anywhere really on this diagonal, and queen, and then check, and then we push the a pawn and mate.
Wow.
The b. So he, after rook c2, has to take it, okay? And I knew this would be the next move, okay? Because
such a gentle move too.
yeah, you're threatening. Well, see, the problem is black can't queen because of bishop f2, okay? So this is stupid. But it's a blunder, But so bishop f2 check. So h2, and can you guess white's next move? If you take and allow queen, that's a draw.
Okay.
If you take g2, it's a draw. What is white's next move?
Let's see here.
You have to see it opens up your mind. Start looking at stuff you would have never looked at in a million years before.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like the fact that I know that there's an answer. I want to look for it now. If I look
Okay,
like you said, if I had not known that there was an answer here, I would have been a lazy chess player and take it on G2.
yeah, if you didn't know the answer, we take on G2 and take the draw, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't even think twice and be like, of course, this is the fact that there's
Hmm.
actually an answer here is just
There's
baffling.
a win here for white.
Huh?
There's a win here for white, though.
I don't even understand the mating net.
There is a mating net, but it's not a forced mate. It's just that if
Then you win the pawns, then right?
you win the pawns and you stop the pawns, right? You want to keep looking, or you want me to show it?
You're more than welcome to show. I think we'd be here too long if I had to find it.
This is the move.
What?
Okay, see,
Wow. And we
see
saw
if you,
that theme earlier too.
right, right. If you queen, then comes
Checkmate.
bishop e5 mate.
Uh huh.
Okay, same thing. If you take the rook,
Then check, and then we cover the queening
then
square.
check, and yeah, you cover the queening square and an easy win. Okay, and if you play a5, then comes check here exclam.
What?
You see, because now if you go king a6, this is another mate,
Yeah.
and so you're forcing king takes c7, and then you get the h pawn and you stop the queen in one.
That is
See,
so
but like,
beautiful.
yeah, but every freaking study is like that, though. Every study is like that. It's not; these are not anomalies, or these are not the best of. This is
Hmm.
just this was his final study
Wow.
of his life. This one.
And so,
So
are you gonna be are you gonna write a book specifically for him, or will you be
I,
just throwing in
I
his
tried.
problems?
I begged and pleaded, but they said, no, no, we're not going for that. It won't sell if you say they're all Watawa studies. They have to be like, it's got to be called Endgame Tactics or something like
Mm.
that. And they went
Yeah.
for that. And I loaded it up with Watawas. Okay, like let me see how many Watawas are in the book, in the tactical
Well, I
training
would say
book.
I know you weren't trying to, but not that it would have been hard. But I'm gonna be buying this book, of course. So.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just look up how many Watawas I have in here. How many I snuck in? Oh, see, quite a bit, quite a few.
Making
Yeah, I don't.
threes.
What are the number? What is the number? 23 games. Okay, 23 Watawas I snuck in, which is a pretty high number. Another favorite of mine is Smyslov. Let me just out of curiosity,
Is that
how
the
many
world
Smys
champion?
yeah, Smyslov was one of the greatest composers of all time.
Really? I had no idea.
Yeah, unbelievable endgame composer. Yeah.
Huh.
Let's see, Smyslov. How many do I have in the book?
Even
Let me
more. At least that's what it looks like.
37 Smyslovs. Yeah,
I'm excited
37.
to give this to my student, especially one of my most promising students, and yeah, because just the process of looking at this, like you're saying, it's I love that. I love that at the beginning of the book, you're just saying, do not worry about solving the problems, just
Not
do
important at
it.
all. All you have to do is try and then look it up. If you can't get it after 5 minutes, just look it up and then you get a new imprint. I want to show you one Smyslov here, not
Okay.
this one. I'll show you one of my favorites. It's a fortress.
Oh,
Man.
fortresses.
Oh, no, this is a really good. This is my favorite. Okay. So so here, this is a white to play and draw. Okay. Well, you can't
Wow.
stop this pawn. Okay. Like how the hell are we going to draw when we can't stop this pawn? Right? You can't stop queening. Okay. So we start with check. Okay. And then we play exclam. And then here, and then here. Now, if you take, believe it or not, we go here. Now, see, we found
Mm.
a way to stop the pawn. Now you're down 3 freaking pawns here, but you draw this. This is an anomaly too. Like, it's very rare that a guy 3 pawns up can't win, even with opposite colored bishops.
Wow.
See, there's no way in. So, okay, so after d4, a3, d5. Now we just saw e takes e6 draws. So a2. So what? Now we play here.
Oh
Test
my
it out.
gosh! Yes.
Try to win this. Try to win this. I will forever go to g1, g2. You can't ever zugzwang the king. You can't ever have a queen f1 mate. I will just play king g1, king g2 forever and ever. I even looked at ideas, like let's just try. Let's see. I check king g1. If you try something like this, I thought maybe if we give up
sacrifice.
Give up the queen for the bishop. You see, the threat is queen take. If we go queen takes g5, f4, we win, or just queen takes g5.
Yeah.
You know?
But just don't let him capture him.
You can't chase down that bishop. There's too many squares. Okay.
That's insanity.
So look, I looked at this is where Smyslov's problem ended, by the way, right here. Okay, and it's just a draw. Okay, but I thought, can't we let's see some analysis. Okay, queen d8. Okay.
Oh.
And now we can take it. We can take it. That's a draw. That's another fortress.
What? Oh, you just have to guard the h2 pawn.
Sure. I'm going to go to g2, g1, just like with the queen. Or f1 in this case. f1, g1, you see.
Oh my gosh.
There's no... you can't cut me off of f1, g1, and g2. So you can never do something where I'm in a corner and you play king f1 and I have to play h3.
Yes, at that point.
You can never zugzwang black, you see. And this bishop is just basically off the board. I mean, well, not quite, because then white would win with h3, but it's not coming out, okay? And so this is another fortress draw. But Smyslov, I mean, just elegant stuff, just really elegant stuff.
I love this one so much because I always have to tell my kids, because I work with mostly scholastic students, you cannot checkmate with just one piece. It would always need help, even if it's the queen.
Right.
And my gosh, if this does not instill this in their head, I don't know what will.
Here, you think white resigns. No. The king can never get out because of that bishop. You can never take that bishop because I can always dance away. And you can go do this and this, but then I take it and it doesn't matter, right? As long as you don't take on g5. If I take on d8, it's no problem. It's a draw because I can play king g2, king f1, g1 all day long, and the black king can't do a thing. So it's kind of, but that's a remarkable fortress problem.
I love it so much.
But these are two of my favorites, but I have all of Smyslov's problems too. Where is he? I posted every Smyslov study on my chess endgame studies and compositions Facebook group. Here. Let me see how many he did. Not that many.
One of the things I was gonna say is I didn't realize how many people loved endgames, but 25,000 members and it's growing. It's
right.
It was a big eye opener. Now who knows? I like endgames now apparently. You keep opening up my world.
I have probably he did more because again I bumped the ones that his early studies. Of course, he didn't have computers. Okay, so his later ones, he died in 2010. This was his final study. This one, but he had computers from probably about 1988 on. So some of his studies have computer and some don't. Like all these have computer, but see. He had a long gap, probably by 86 he's using a computer, but 76 no. So all this to the end, no computers, you see.
It's just amazing how these guys played with such accuracy back in the day.
Yeah. So anyway, he's another one of my favorites. Do you want me to stop share now?
Sure. Yeah, no, that's okay. Yeah. Man, let me go ahead and click back to this right here. Interview, awesome. So Cyrus, I want to thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. And
Thank you so much for having me, Jesse. It's
oh,
very nice to meet you too. I've known you for such a long time, but I've I've seen your picture. I know what you look like, but it's not the same as actually talking to someone. You know that
of
you connect
course.
and talk. So
And you know I'm
thank
gonna harass you about trying to come and give us a lecture one of these days. I would love to meet your wife Nancy.
I
And
will, I would love to. I really want to see. You live in San Antonio, right?
it's
I
it's so many great stuff here. I
I
want to
know.
sell it to you.
I have to go. I have to go. Like after COVID,
Of course, of
we're
course.
doing we're doing it. We're doing it.
Awesome. I am very
Uh,
happy to hear that.
Also, you'll embarrass me. Like what'll happen is I haven't played in 2 years.
Oh,
So I played 25 boards. San Antonio Chess Club 25, Cyrus 0.
well, it's up to if it's up to you if you would like to do a simo. I'm more than happy with the lecture and just
Yeah,
hearing it.
lecture would be fun actually. Because I I my I told you for some people chess is their religion. Composed studies is my religion. Okay, where
I've
I
so much enjoyed
tell
this.
anyone who will listen, if you want to improve in chess, do these every day. Mate and two problems, especially mating problems, and studies. Just endgame studies,
I'm gonna
and you
clip
will get
that
better.
and add it like everywhere so that people will know.
You
Um,
have to do it on a daily basis, though. But I've had explosive results with some students. Some actually nothing, though. Don't like I say, results not typical. Some students they just don't improve doing it. I don't know why. But I've had multiple explosions with it, like where especially kids get a lot stronger. I had one kid go from like 2250 to 23. Like very
wow.
quickly. That's a that's a difficult 50 points there because
Oh
you're
yes,
already
yeah.
good.
That's like the
2250 is a really strong player.
that's like
So it's
Magnus
very
going from
hard.
like 2300 like 2500 like less than a year. It's just like unheard
Yeah,
of.
that's insane. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean
it's just
because
like that's already a huge. I mean, as you mentioned, I've been stuck at my like 2240, 2250 for USCF, and for me to get to that next
yeah,
boost, you know what I mean?
I think your problem is you don't have that much competition. There's Mitch, right?
Oh
Is he in?
well, that's definitely one of them.
Yeah, but you don't have are you the highest rated player in San Antonio?
The highest active player, yes, sir. Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm not gonna lie, I'm not trying to become a grandmaster. I love chess, and I'm trying to
I
share it.
understand, but it's very difficult for the highest guy to improve because you're only playing people that are like either close to you or weaker than you. Okay, you're never playing someone better. And to improve, you often need to play. You need to be tested and pushed. Like the ideal would be if there was a 2400 or 2350 where you usually lose to the guy, you would get better though. You'd lose
I
to him, but
loved
instead of
that so much when I was
flipping,
growing up. I'd lose every game, but I love to play and I love to learn, and I'd learn so much. And then at this point
you
now, like you're
wouldn't lose
saying,
every game. There's
oh,
no way you'd lose every game. At 2250 does not lose every game to a 2400. You'd lose most of them, but like you definitely clip them for wins and draws, no question.
I
You'd win like 33% probably.
I sure hope so. I sure hope so.
Yeah.
Well, again, I
Okay.
just want to
Well,
thank you so much, and I'll plug in your
my
book,
pleasure.
of course,
Pleasure.
Tactical Training, which, again, you weren't trying to sell me, but I'm sold. Is there any other books that you'd recommend for people that are
Well,
trying to get better?
rewire your chess brain is the first one on endgame studies and mating problems. Okay, and please, I'm begging you. The very first review I got was, um, like, who cares if it's mate in 5 when I can mate in 6? Oh my God, those guys. By the way, those guys, the who cares if it's mate in 5 when I can mate in 6 guys, they drive the composers nuts. Like they just drive the composers nuts. Um, it's like the stupidest thing you could say to a composer. Okay, don't ever say that. The who, what does it matter? Well, I don't see a mate in 2. I'll just take his queen. Well, you're up a queen, 2 rooks, and 5 pieces. Who cares if you take his queen? Like
Especially
the,
to a
the point.
composer.
The point is economy. I'm writing an article I've written for chess.com. It's written for kind of like I tried to write for 1300. They said it was it was more like for 1600. I tried. I don't know quite how to write for 1300, but
It seems so hard to gauge that kind of thing, though. At least to me,
it's really difficult. I thought it would be easy to write for a lower rated player, but it's actually much harder because for if you're writing for an 1800, there's just certain things that are givens. You know that an 1800 knows how to mate with bishop and knight, but the average rating on chess.com is 962.
Wow.
Okay. And so it's got 94 million members, okay? And the larger the pool, the lower the rating, you see? And so it's a worldwide pool. There's people who just play at lunch on chess.com, but they're all like, 700, 800, 900, 1000. That's the main rating, on chess.com.
I had no idea. And since, of course, since the boom with Netflix, great show. I've been meeting so many people that I'm like, what's your rating? And they're like, I'm under 1,000. I'm like, really? I didn't know. I did not know that.
Yeah, no, that show has been a godsend for chess. I mean, like the goddess Kaisa sent that show to us because we were languishing, and all of a sudden there's this worldwide explosion of it, And they're actually, I heard that they're thinking of making a Broadway musical on Queen's Gambit. I mean, if they do that, that means that thing is popular. Okay, I mean, it's just everywhere. And they're thinking of making a season 2, by the way.
I want the season 2. One of the hardest things. Huh?
Beth Harmon is not the world champion yet. She hasn't beaten Borgov in a championship yet, right? She just beat him in the tournament. She just won a tournament ahead of him. He's still the world champion. They could have a season 2.
I want season 2, and I want season 3. I want the Magnus or the world champion. You gotta stay hungry when you're the world champion. I think that's one of the hardest things that you can do is hold on to that title.
I'm pretty sure they'll make a season 2 because it was the most watched show of all time for Netflix, right? So they made a
never-ending franchise. They got to keep giving us what we want.
They made $1 zillion on that show, so they're clearly going to say, "Well, we made $1 zillion, but it would be so much better to make $1 zillion."
Yeah, no, I know both of us probably got some new students out of it, and definitely better recognition, which I'm very thankful for. I like the show. There was, of course, critics like there always is, but I thought they did a very good show portraying what chess is.
Yeah, I thought those critics are ridiculous. Like, this game, the king was on C1 and not B1. Who cares? Who cares?
They even got
the
chess. Kasparov and Pandolfini to actually help set the boards up. It was like
I heard critics say, I saw people write, well, they're playing ridiculously fast. Well, you want to sit there for 20 minutes and watch the board while Beth thinks for 20 minutes?
Exactly.
Good cinema, 20 minutes of looking at a board? No, of course they have fast.
I don't even do that with Magnus, man. And I love Magnus's play. No, I can't agree with you more. I mean, at the end of the day, there's always going to be critics. I can literally give someone, like if I could go to the United States, I can literally give people like $100 each. I'm sure I'd get someone say, "Hey, only 100? Why can't you give me more?" Like it doesn't matter. Someone's always going to complain. So
I had my heart set on 200.
Exactly. It's like this 100's not crisp enough, So it's
okay. At
some point, I'm just like, listen, you can't make everybody happy, and I think the show did great for what it did. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to the future with I sure hope that they follow Cyrus's advice and does season 2.
Well, good luck, everyone out there. Thank you so much. I'll see you later. Take care.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.